early 1900s, and the borders haven't changed in over a century. But now, a new idea is sparking curiosity. What if Baldwin County split and formed Alabama's 68th county? The idea isn't coming from a formal movement. It started as a question raised by State Senator Chris Elliott after receiving concerns from a constituent. At the heart of the issue is a tax dispute between the Baldwin County school system and newly formed city school districts in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. These cities broke away from the Baldwin County school system in 2020 and 2022. Now they're demanding a share of a 1% countywide sales tax that was established in the early 1980s to fund the Baldwin County school system. This sales tax still brings in millions, mostly from high tourism areas like Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. And now beach officials want a slice of that pie. Senator Elliott is sponsoring a bill to divide that revenue more fairly among city and county schools. But other lawmakers in Baldwin County oppose it. They say it would take money away from rural schools that still depend on that funding. Senator Elliott and local leaders like Orange Beach Mayor Tony Keenan say the idea of a new county isn't a serious push, but rather a sign of deep frustration. Keenan says beach cities are often labeled as wealthy, and that perception is used to justify why they shouldn't receive a share of tax revenue, even though they generate much of it through tourism. Some beach officials feel they're funding much of the county's growth, but not seeing their fair share of benefits. Even though a new county isn't likely to happen anytime soon, the idea itself is a symbol of how divided the region has become, especially over money, schools, and local control.
Representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the legal services provided by other lawyers. You found the Heart of Dixie podcast number 5. We're joined today by Brandon Mosley, reporter and content manager at the Alabama Gazette. How are you, Brandon?
Doing well, Harry. How are you?
I'm good. And we have a special treat today. Senator Dan Roberts, Alabama Senator, State Senate, District 15, and I hope I'm not cursing you. I believe you're from Columbiana, Shelby County. Is that right, Senator Roberts?
I serve Shelby County and have the privilege to be the Senate chair for the Shelby County local delegation, and I also serve Jefferson County. So I actually live in Jefferson County.
Oh, okay. So is this a fair representation? That's Shelby County there, and
yep.
And so, where do you live? Where do you live exactly? Are you a
right
Hoover
near
guy?
the Summit area?
Okay,
right near the Summit area.
I gotcha. And I think we're showing somewhere in here. Well, no, those are house maps. That doesn't help. Yeah, I should have got a Senate map. Brandon, why didn't you send me a Senate map, man? So, anyway, here's a picture of your mug. Is that anyone in particular you're having a conversation with? We're looking at your get to know page. Dan Roberts, Senate 15.
I don't remember what picture's up there right now.
So it says Dan on issues, economic development, education, and workforce development, and we really don't need to go into all those. It doesn't say library books, Bibles, and Nazis, or you seem like a well-grounded member of the Senate, sir. And I see here that you do and I applaud you for this. Nobody does this down here. I wish they did. I guess this is a Facebook post. You do a regular, I guess, a weekly update for your constituents. Is that what
I do.
So we're looking at your.
I do.
We're looking at your
every week. A recap of what's done. Yeah.
So we're looking at your April 4th post, and you have 3 headlines: pharmacy legislation, alpha health plan, and cannabinoid legislation. And of course we're looking at it so everyone can read it for themselves. But so are those? And then I'm going to flip over here and just show some people some highlights of your area, Oak Mountain State Park, and some other things, and how much we appreciate people who come on here and tell us what's going on. So the topics of discussion for today, obviously goings on the Alabama legislature, cell phone bans, your pharmacy bill, Alpha Health, cannabinoid legislation, Doge, tariffs, anti-Semitism, Biden FBI January 6th involvement, and then several depressing things in the rapid fire category, including Auburn University's basketball program. But we'll get started with your bills according to the Alabama dashboard. It looks like you have a bill related to the psychoactive derivatives of CBD, and the possession of that is prohibited, and there are going to be criminal penalties provided for violators. And it says this has been read once. Is that right? SB
It's got its first reading in the Senate, and then passed out of committee, and is awaiting being put on the floor.
So is this the bill that's moving forward that would put it under the supervision of the ABC board, or would this just completely?
There's actually like 4 different ones of these bills.
There'll be five different. We also have a House bill. So
of course we do.
We have a way to totally ban this or make it the exact equivalent legally as marijuana. We have the ability to take them to Scheduled 1 drugs with penalties. We have a way to regulate them in Andy Witt's bill that's come out of the House. And then we have another alternative with a bill that Senator Melson has. And then one more, Senator Roger Smitterman also has a bill to deal with this, to put it in a 21-year-old and up entry store. And so those are the options. So that may have been, I think that's 5, but it could have been 6 bills.
Yeah, I think Shay Sheldon had one that just dealt with cannabinoid-infused beverages.
Yeah, it's the same animal. Yeah, well, we had that committee last week, and so yeah, that would have. I think that was. I can't remember whose bill that was. So yeah, you have the full spectrum of where we're coming from, and I think the decision we have to make as a legislature is: do we want to allow this to continue? It is nothing but a loophole in the federal law that a Mack truck has been driven through, that at the genesis, something has started out as hemp oil. It is then synthesized, and then it becomes literally synthetic. So you are making a synthetic form of THC, which is a psychoactive part of cannabinoid. And from there, it's infused into gummies. It's infused into multiple other edibles. It can be sprayed on Doritos. It can be put into slushies. It can be put into hemp water, as it's called. And then they purport to regulate that well at 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams. Some are 2.5, others are 3. Milligrams.
So, were you present for State Rep Andy Witt's best quotes from the Delta 8 crackdown speech? Did you hear that?
I happened to miss that. I was not present.
That was pretty good. And so I need to move on into telling y'all about my trip last night. So. Is everybody familiar with Hootie and the Blowfish and the rise of Darius Rucker, their lead singer, as a country star? So
yes, I am.
So he covered a song called Wagon Wheel, and the original singers of Wagon Wheel are the Old Crow Medicine Show. And they were in Fairhope, Alabama last night at the amphitheater at Coastal Alabama Community College. And so I paid $50 to go sit in the amphitheater and watch them. And so here's a little map, and you see the Live at 5 series where the amphitheater is. So anyway, I parked over here at the Postal Service, and I walked up here, and there's a little building right here that used to be a service station, and it on one side it's a CBD hemp store, and on the other side it is a what is it, like a coffee shop or something. And so we were walking by, and I said, and I saw somebody an attorney that I knew walking in there, and so we were having a conversation. He said, "Oh, you ought to come in here and look at this stuff." So anyway, last night at Johnny Mac's in downtown Fairhope, I bought a watermelon beverage, and it says it's got 25 milligrams of THC, and it says it's made in Fairhope by the Fairhope Hemp Company, located on Fairhope Avenue. I guess they make it right there where they're making coffee. So anyway, I didn't see them selling. I didn't see any little kids going in there buying gummies or any of that kind of stuff. That side of the building, I think they had a sign that said 21 and over. And anyway, I haven't seen the streets running red with blood, and I don't know that other than it's a nifty way for law enforcement to get into your vehicle, saying that they smell something that's, you can buy at the gas station now. I think the genie's kind of out of the bottle, but we've put things back in the bottle before, haven't we? Well, anyway, that's my story about last night. Of course, I did not drink it because but I did get one just to have a memento of our trip. So onward and upward. Chief of Police from Gulf Shores is now your chief of police in Pelham. Do you know about Chief Ed Delmore switching jobs and moving up country?
I had heard that had happened.
He was he's a Yankee. He's from outskirts of Chicago. He's been down here for 8 or 9 years, and he was on our infamous major crimes unit that, whenever there's, instead of calling the ABI like they do in Shelby County when there's an officer involved shooting, we have a nifty little group down here that investigates themselves. So anyway, I'd like to talk to him about all that. And actually, I put in a call to him on Friday, and hopefully we'll be hearing back from him. Brandon, this was just for you. This came up in my Facebook feed. This is according to Blair. Now, she's an influencer, and this is brought to you by Pfizer. You can book your vaccine, schedule your vaccine today. I thought that was nice of them to put in my Facebook feed in case I was interested in that.
Yeah, they spend enough on advertising, that's for certain.
So, while we have all these real problems, I thought we would talk about, and it's not flippant, but I worked for the city of Gulf Shores for 5 years. Remember the coach that got his arm bit off and ended up on Oprah? I was there when that happened. I worked for the city. There's nothing you can do about people that go swimming at daylight or dusk or dawn. That's the feeding time for bull sharks along the beach. Now, I don't know when Lulu got eaten up. It wasn't even here in Alabama, but I guess we've passed a law.
What happened?
Go ahead.
What happened with Lulu was the shark attacked somebody else on the Gulf like 90 minutes before poor Lulu got bit. And the legislation, I think there's a federal bill as well, but the legislation that's before the state is if anybody gets shark bit or shark attacked or there's dangerous shark sightings, the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources will send out an alert to everyone's phone so that, we at least know there's like a shark who's acting too much like a shark so that they can get out of the water. Lulu and her friend was doing nothing but diving for sand dollars, and the friend saw the shark and they tried to outswim the shark, and you're not going to outswim a shark if a shark, gets in the race. And so,
okay, well,
it took her hand first.
It's not very Republican of us to legislate our way into utopia, especially when it comes to
all we're doing is
wildlife
asking
encounters.
for all they're asking for is a phone app that ADCNR would manage. And
kind of
ADCNR is managing all
like
kinds of stuff down there now.
Kind of
anyway.
like if I decide to harvest a turkey or if I catch some fish, I got to use the app before I get in. Yeah, it's just all getting a little out there. So a settlement hearing is set for, let's see, this is Judge Gil Self up in Florence. And he claims that sloppy bookkeeping led to the theft of $140,000 from the law library fund. And, instead of burning him at the stake like we oughta, there's some kind of a settlement agreement, or I guess they're going to reach some kind of settlement with the state, and he's going to plea. House passes ban on cell phone use in public schools. Senator, is that any of your legislation? Do you have a position on that? Were you supportive?
Here's my thought on that. If you think about what it takes to get ready for work, you have a get ready, you have work, and then you have work put away, and then you're off to your next thing. It was funny. I was with some friends who we all graduated from college together last night, and we were talking, and they were talking about when they're hard down working and a ping from their computer or ping on their cell phone, they will almost instinctively stop what they're doing to check to make sure nothing's urgent or something like that, but then how hard it is to turn around and then get ready to work. I think the intent of this legislation is to make sure that our classrooms are not constantly being disrupted in the learning time by electronic devices. I think that's what the intent of it is. And I understand. It was interesting. I was listening to a deal pitch not long ago, and one of the guys was very high up in one of the largest high-tech companies in the United States. And they are starting their own private school with zero electronic devices. And the exact quote was, "We see what this is doing to our students," where they can, "Hey, Siri, give me something," or they go on Chat GP and get something done. And they are totally convinced that they want their children to live as electronic free as possible during their early years so that they can be excellent students and then utilize things from there. And they also allow none of their children to have any social media presence. And this had nothing to do with what the deal pitch was about, but this was a guy who just kind of gave a throwaway statement, and it was just that. And I thought that was most telling.
Right. I know here at the office, I get tons of emails, tons of phone calls, tons of text messages. Probably of those, I probably only need maybe 10%. Most of it is somebody, either I'm getting news breaks from, a news source that I follow, most of which I don't really need. And then it's people pitching stuff to me. Yes. And I don't see where a child will be different than me.
Yeah.
So,
and I hear from teachers all over the state, but particularly in our district, that it's disrupting what goes on. I understand, and there are exceptions for medical issues with students. Someone brought up diabetes. Well, I had a 10-year-old son who developed type 1 diabetes, and we walk with that now some 24 years. And we did not have cell phone access or a pump that connected to a cell phone back then, but we do today. So, of course, there need to be exceptions for that, but largely it's disruptive. And then the commotion that can happen if an event happens in a school and all of a sudden everybody's pinging this and that. I even heard during the legislative debate, one legislator was saying, well, it'd be much easier if I can just text my son while he's in class saying, look, I'm held up, I'm stuck in traffic, I'll be there a little bit late. And I understand that comment, but for the greater good of a teacher running a classroom without constant disruptions, I understand the intent of that legislation.
Okay, so I rarely do this, but I'm going to impose my opinion upon my guest.
You're free to do so. I have that happen right along, by the way.
Okay, I figured.
I don't know about you,
this
but
one's
I hear from people right along, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts.
Well, this has to do with the practice of law, and there's a movement afoot to change the eligibility age to run for judicial office from 70 to 75, and I think you need to lower it to like 55. We require a tremendous amount of mental horsepower of our judges, most of whom are carrying 70 cases on their docket at any given time, and man, it just really it takes somebody sharp, and I hate to see, there's a reason we have this hard ceiling, and it's related to cognitive decline, and it has really. Anyway, I think it's a good hard ceiling, and I'd hate to see that change because we have some judges who are rolling off here, and they're just burnt to a cinder, and they're barely in their 60s. After 15, 20 years on the bench, trust me, it's time to take it to the shed. And I hope that you'll reach out to some of the practitioners in your area and talk to them, not just the ones in the courthouses, because I could imagine they'd hate to lose some experience in some of these places. But I can tell you, Etowah, Shelby, Mobile, really have some old guys on the bench, and I'm excited to see some younger, capable people take their positions. So hopefully you guys, you'll hear from enough of your constituents who don't want to see that change. All right, so we started out today with a little explanation about this school tax issue down here in Baldwin County, and this is from about a month ago. Elliott not on board with the Robin Hood approach to Baldwin County school tax distribution as county separation talks increase. So there was a hearing, and were you at this hearing, Senator? Are you on the local government committee?
I am not.
So it was a little bizarre, and there's an article about it, and we could sit there and listen to what they have to say, or let's just watch the last minute of the meeting and see if we can figure out what in the heck happened here.
Middle, and then very much the intention is to try to fix this so we don't end up in this situation when this happens again, because it is going to happen again, and we're going to end up in these situations over and over.
And I think you're right, Mr. Chairman, but I think I'd like to try to save this, but I really don't think I'd like to really offer to carry it over and give us time to call a special meeting to sit down and do this.
I second the motion.
It wasn't a motion. She said she would like to carry it over.
I move that we carry it over then. I make a motion. Sorry, we're going to be technical.
I have a motion to carry the bill over. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. The noes have it. Okay. Now we're on the amendment.
No, Mr. Chairman, you know that wasn't right.
I would like to move adoption of the amendment. I have a second from Senator Hovey.
Donna Givens is running. See her get up.
Discussion on the amendment.
You must be
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm trying to see how I can make it germane, but I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page when it came to the definition of pro rata share versus a tax coming from the area. That is not pro rata share. So, right. And so I just want to make sure, because a couple of the members asked the question, if the tax was collected in an area, if that money then goes back to the area, that is very different than I have candy in my mouth, than pro rata share. Pro rata share, if you're using just 100 and like 100%, 90% of that would go to Baldwin County schools and 5% to the two others, based on the 100. But if you're doing the exact numbers, if only 3% of the overall money came from Orange Beach, they would only get 3%. which is very different than pro rata share. So I just want to make sure that we were on the same page. I just kind of have that need sometimes to clear stuff up so we all know what we ultimately end up voting on.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that, and I have to clarify that some more with you. I think it says pro rata basis, but anyway. Okay, we're on adoption of the amendment. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, the ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. And now we're on the bill. The bill, I'll move favorable report, second by Senator Hovey. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. No. The bill receives a favorable report. Thank you very much, members.
Well, Brandon, you've been to a lot of these things. You ever seen something go down like that?
Well, I mean, from here, I really can't tell who carried it, but I know the Republicans have like a 3/4 advantage in the Senate. So, I mean, if you assume every Democrat on the committee is a no, I mean, all Elliott has to do is look at the Republicans, and he know in his head the number that he needs.
Albritton was a no, dude. Albritton was a no. It's not just the Democrats. And we could go back and watch the whole thing, but
I mean, Senator Roberts is a lot more familiar with this than I am. But if Senator Albritton and the Democrats don't want a bill to move on the Senate floor, and they're willing to make us all sit there for a few hours, yeah, they can kill pretty much anything they want to. So I kind of think if Senator Elliott really wants to move this legislation, I mean, he's got it to, where it's on the calendar, he's going to have to get some sort of buy-in from Albritton and at least most of the Republicans of that caucus. I mean, really, you probably need the Democrats to sign off too, if they wanted to start just a war. I'm not sure where Senator Figures is, but she also represents a big chunk of Baldwin County.
Did we lose him?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Well, we were just wondering if you knew any particulars about the.
I'm not on that committee. I'm on state government affairs and not on state, local, and county. So I was not at that hearing.
So just to let you know how divisive it is down
five
here.
Other committee hearings that day. So
I got you.
It was a wide open day. So
So Mayor Robert Kraft issued a statement regarding Senate Bill 270, and he says our position is simple: the money should follow the students, and this concept is fair and straightforward. However, once again, we must endure a deliberate misinformation campaign from the Baldwin County Public Schools machine. And if you go back and Brandon and I used to participate in another podcast, Backstory Podcast number 120, we talk about who is John Gray, and we go look at the Baldwin County checkbook, and he gets paid $9,500 a month to be the political consultant for Baldwin County school systems. And then there was an email that Representative Eddie Tyler sent out to all of the parents in the school district, and that was in the Lanyap newspaper this week down here. It says Baldwin County Superintendent Eddie Tyler wrote an email to parents that an attempt by Senator Chris Elliott to give a piece of a countywide sales tax to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach School shows a disregard for other schools in his district. And so anyway, a lot of eyebrows raised. Nanny.
We could end a lot of this if we just outlawed any further municipalities breaking off and forming their own school district.
Okay, well, here's the other problem, is when they broke off and created their own school district, they made a deal with what kind of taxes they were going to receive. And now that they're building these billion-dollar buildings down there, they need more money. And they want to renegotiate. It's kind of the art of the deal. Maybe we'll get to some of that in a little while. But anyway, that's where this nanny nanny boo boo headline comes from. I thought, this is 1819, so it's not very highbrow. Of course, this bill got moved. Alabama is among more than a dozen states considering legislation this session requiring the 10 Commandments be displayed in public schools. And I thought we'd give equal time for the scientific method, and then we'd move on to some Reuters reports about some national issues. And I thought this was pretty good. Today, top U.S. Spy's chief of staff on Wednesday said U.S. intelligence community is investigating whether the FBI was involved in planning the January 6, 2021 assault on the Capitol by supporters of President Donald Trump. So that's kind of interesting. For some reason, Five Rivers is being sold off for $8.5 million. That's 70 acres down here on the Causeway. And also this week, there was the bicentennial tour of the Marquis de Lafayette, and I went to that. It was held at the Masonic Lodge. If you can imagine, that building was erected in 1824, and it was actually the building that he spoke in. So I went up there for that. That was on the end of the deluge. And so, anyway, I thought we would talk a minute about the president's reciprocal tariffs. So, when he announced the tariffs, I know several people who import things from China and Canada, and they basically furloughed their employees for a week and said, "Hey, we need to, anybody in the import side, hold off on trying to get any more product." And then, of course, we've seen a yo-yo in the stock market. And did you see this headline, Brandon? Fund managers quietly fear Trump doesn't have a tariff plan and that he might be insane.
I kind of think that the mainstream media has kind of gone a little bit overboard.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
So this is a good one, and we could talk ad nauseum about this, and everybody's got a different opinion about blockchain. And I attended the blockchain committee, the joint committee that Senator Albritton chaired, and the girl from the lady that heads the Securities and Exchange Commission was on it. And essentially, they decided they needed to come back and report further. And then of course, there are some people who, like Andrew Sorrell, who want to make Alabama a haven for blockchain and Bitcoin. But the New York Attorney General is employing Congress to stop letting crypto scam people. New York's top lawyer just begged Congress to actually write some rules like enforcing the securities. But here's where they get around it, Brandon. It's not a security. Okay, so it doesn't fall under, and it's not a financial instrument, so no one can do anything about it. And so I thought we'd look at this. Did you know that Melania Trump launched her own cryptocurrency?
Seems like everybody has a crypto other than Brandon.
Incoming First Lady Melania has just launched her cryptocurrency, and it says disclaimers on the website of both the $Trump and $Melania coins say they were not intended to be or subject of an investment opportunity or a security. So that's how we get around that. And, of course, the market cap for both of them is about $2 billion, and they started this on January 20th or something, like the day before he was inaugurated. Okay, so the tariffs have sparked people going out and buying charcoal and all kinds of stuff at Costco. So, Brandon, are you familiar with the band Weezer?
No, never heard of them.
Oh, they're pretty good. I kind of like Weezer. Anyway, their bassist wife was shot by the police. They came to her house and she wouldn't put the knife down. Anyway, yeah. So another tough guy, faux tough guy with a podcast, our assistant FBI director Dan Bongino. They've created a multi-agent bodyguard team to protect him. Because he's, yeah. the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office had a big birthday celebration for Captain Andre Reed, and Major Author recently celebrated 50 years in law enforcement. So that's the goings on at the Sheriff's Department. Legislative update, we talked about HB 437, the Shark Alert system. And I thought I would give these guys props. The city of Dothan have indicted someone for a cold case. Grace Bridges was killed 15 years ago. And they brought, they think they've brought the person's murderer to justice, which is kind of unheard of in Alabama cold cases, admittedly. Isn't it, Brandon? I mean, that somebody...
It's pretty difficult if you haven't figured it out in 24 months that you're going to be able to solve it 15 or 20 years later. It's very, very difficult. Witnesses start to die off, memories start to go bad.
So I want to thank the Alabama legislature for reaching a compromise, because here I live in Daphne, and it is in fact the Jubilee City, the home of the Jubilee. And it appears that there's a fishing license compromise reached for Jubilee harvesting, meaning that we don't have to worry about getting tased when we go down here to pick up the fish that are going to die because there's no oxygen in the water. So, and along this same line, so there was an investigation into Baldwin County restaurant related to them serving shrimp, falsely claiming to be local, Alabama wild shrimp. So here is a list of all of the people who, in fact, are serving local shrimp, and then of course there's about 30 that weren't. They were selling stuff from other places, but yeah, all the restaurants down there, like I don't know, Bubba's and DeSoto's, the Foley Fish House, and of course Cotton's, all owned by good people, all selling you real stuff. And of course, Sea and Suds did their own little post and said, "Hey, by the way, we're selling real shrimp," and it was in the newspaper. So come on down and get some shrimp. Another thing in rapid fire, mayoral candidate Paul Prine, and can you say this guy's name?
Spyro Chirigatis.
He's the most Greek man living in Mobile, Alabama, obviously. So anyway, they had a debate, and apparently the front runner wasn't there. The county commissioner.
If they just had the two of them, there's a bunch of them not there.
Yeah, no kidding. And so the only winner in the Final Four from Alabama is Bruce Pearl, who just bought a $6.3 million home on Lake Martin. Did you watch the Florida defeat?
Yeah, Florida, they just had a lot better second half than Auburn did.
So down here where we live on the river, Senator, our neighbors' problems are our problems. And this headline just came in this morning. Pritchard reports nearly 4 million gallons of sewage overflow. And, of course, this is the Pritchard public utility where all the board members and their managers stole everything. And, we're buying Louis Vuitton purses, put $100,000 on credit cards, and now they have no money and their infrastructure's failing, and they want the countywide sewer system to come in and take them over, and everybody else is going to pay for their, problems. Another thing, the FBI is detailing arrest of local alleged Venezuelan gang members. Did y'all know that we had Tren de Agua, however you say that mess? The FBI is rounding up Venezuelan gang members. I think
Biden did a good job of sending those gang members all over the country.
Well, apparently they've set up shop down here in Mobile. So April 7th.
What are they supposed to do? They do gang stuff.
So April 7th, I don't know if y'all can see down the scale, if you can see the color here, but that right there is 15 to 19 inches of rain fell right here across Baldwin County. And all that water, of course, comes down the river, so everything's just flood stage nuts. But Baldwin County Highway Department is working to reopen flood-damaged roads, and I think there's still 3 of them that are impassable. And this is downtown Montgomery. Have you ever seen the amphitheater underwater before? That's pretty impressive. And there's Nakalula Falls in Gadsden. They got a little bit of rain, don't you think? I bet you can't stand anywhere near that thing. It sounds like a freight train. Let's see here. This is Baymonette Elementary School. I think there's a little bit, see the fence, the top of the 4-foot fence right there? Yeah, there's a little bit of standing water there when you get 16 inches of rain. So John Wall sent an open letter to set the record straight to the Fairhope Library Board. It's online. Yellowhammer did it. It's an entirety. And I guess the key point is about relocating sexually explicit materials from each section to other sections to ensure books with mature content are appropriately placed. And this is not us coming down. This is not us bringing the pole down between your ears, Fairhope Library Board. This is us just being good stewards of the money. And here is a beautiful picture. You can go buy a drone shot of this, and this is Sand Island Lighthouse with that USS United States being, it's being towed in to into Mobile to, I guess they're taking all the asbestos and oil out of it, and they're going to take it offshore and sink it off of Panama City for a reef. But that's it being towed into Mobile. And Brandon, you're the only other nerdier person than me. How hard did you geek out when you heard they're bringing back the dire wolf?
I think if they actually did it, it would be an impressive scientific feat. This was difficult. But, I mean, the eggs are from a dog. So all the mitochondrial DNA is actually dog. The DNA and the nucleus of the cell where they did the cloning, it's a mixture of gray wolf and dire wolf, and there's a lot of disagreement about how closely dire wolves are to gray wolves. And they made like 14 of, 21,000 genes they changed. You made like 20 changes to 14 genes. This is a really cool little mutt guy. I don't think he's really a dire wolf, but
so they got Romulus and Remus, and they're both like 7 months now, and they're the size of a Great Dane.
Is the female sister who's they've now created.
Right.
There was a fourth one that died.
Well, we're a hell of a long ways from Dolly the sheep, wouldn't you say? I mean, remember when that was science fiction? Oh, that's true.
Cloning Dolly with, I mean, if you study the cattle books at all, a lot of cattle guys have clones of, the steer that won the national championship 10 years ago, or the, one of the top bulls, his mother, they've sold a bunch of clones of his mom.
Did not know that. Well, so are you of the Jurassic Park theory that, hey, man, these things lost out? They had their shot. What are we doing bringing back extinct?
I mean, I kind of think every wolf should be in a zoo at this point, or the far northwest of Canada. I'm not in favor of wolf reintroduction, but if you have little dire wolf guys at the Montgomery Zoo, I don't have a problem with it. I kind of wish they were dire wolves and rather than a hybrid.
True that. So, Senator Roberts, we're going to give you the last shot. Anything that we need to keep our eyes on in particular? We've only got how many legislative days left, Brandon?
8.
Got 9.
Oh, 9. Yeah, I
21.
wasn't counting Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we are rolling. We are coming down to the finish line. We passed the Education Trust Fund budget in the Senate on Thursday, and the House has passed the general fund there. and those will probably cross paths very quickly, and the House will be about looking over the Education Trust Fund budget and hopefully as close to concurrence as possible, and we will do the same with the general fund. And that is really what we are constitutionally here to do every year. So hopefully we can get that done and move forward. We have some other very important things that need to be addressed, and I'm hopeful we'll get those done.
Senator, you've got one of the 5 or 6 regulation or ban or lightly regulate or heavily regulate cannabis infused drinks and gummies and confectionaries and all these other products that gas stations are selling all over Alabama now.
Yeah.
What do you think happens there?
I think if you look at what Texas is doing, and I believe Louisiana, I think they realize that this is a clear and present danger to the states. And it's from this standpoint, and I've heard the argument that if you ban it, it's just going to go underground. And I can't say that's not true, but if you look at poison control from 2 to 15 years of age in 2024, it is off the charts for those. And the predominance of those dealt with this synthetic THC. And I mean, you can walk in, I don't know if the store you were in last night had cigars, but they sell cigars that are 150 milligrams. 10 milligrams of this synthetic THC is the equivalent of 4 shots of bourbon, 4 glasses of wine. And if you look at these 250 milligram gummies they're selling, they say a serving size is 1/16. And I don't think most little people are accustomed to eating a 16th of any type of gummy worm or gummy. And I just think it's disastrous. I mean, the young lady at Montgomery Airport that got sucked into that jet engine, I was told yesterday that training had been done about what you are and what you are not, what is not allowed, and yet that lady had both Delta 8 and Delta 9 is what I've heard in her system. It impairs our citizens, and I believe they will be sold for effect. We already have a medical cannabis situation, but they have been bombarded with lawsuits, and I get the privilege to sit on contract review, and there the defense dollars for the medical cannabis board has been incredible. And it's a total scrum, if you will, of who will get the ball and how will that work. There's thoughts that we need to increase the number of dispensaries or integrators in our state, which by default would increase the number of dispensaries. And I was not for that in the first place either. So, you know, an argument can be made that a man with an argument's at the mercy of a man with an experience, or however you want to word that. I've had this in my very close family, and I've been dealing with this for over 20 years with a family member. And I've worked with any number of rehab places. I've worked with any number of long-term living places. And I got a call just recently from one of our very predominant rehab places in long-term care, and one of their advisors had a hard day, stopped at the convenience store as he was leaving, and then boom, his sobriety was blown. And it took him down a dark rabbit hole, impacted his family. And I think we are spending untold millions of dollars to develop a workforce here in Alabama. We're telling the world that we are open for business. We passed the Alabama Business Competitiveness Tax in 2021, and we have the opportunity to become a major manufacturing state, all the way from pharma products to any other type of manufacturing that needs to be done. And with this tariff war that you're seeing going on, we are certainly a great option for anyone that's offshore currently to come locate in Alabama and make your products. But we need workforce. Why in the world would we look for things that on any drug screen would take out an applicant from being found able to work? And that's exactly what. And you say, I'm just going to get a THC infused drink on Saturday or Sunday. It'll still be in your system for at least 60 hours. And depending on how it bonds with the fat that's in all of our bodies, it could be in there for a month.
Well,
we need able-bodied people. Go ahead.
The only thought that I would plant in your mind for you to pontificate on is in 1981, when I started first grade, it was the first time I heard about the war on drugs. And I lived down here at the beach, and we had to worry about marijuana and cocaine. And what in the world would we give for our biggest problems to be marijuana and cocaine?
No, you're absolutely right. But
it's been a 50-year battle of a 40-year battle of futility, and these guys are going to figure out another chemical to addict us with, or big pharma will. I mean, there are all kinds of. I have a unique perspective on the war on drugs and who the real drug dealers are.
Yeah, no, I'd love to chat with you sometime about that.
Yes, sir. Well, anyway, that's all we have time for. I certainly appreciate your time, and the next time I'm up your way, I'm going to come haunt you. I do that to people, so I hope I'll be received with open arms, and we can sit down and have a conversation about some of these bills.
Sounds great. Look forward to visiting.
This short video provides a brief introduction to the topic of parliamentary procedures, specifically Robert's Rules. Commissioners are highly encouraged to learn more on the specifics of Robert's Rules by using the reference resources. Using Robert's Rules makes a commission's decisions more legally defensible, making meetings run more smoothly, and assures the public that the commission is giving a case a fair hearing. Parliamentary procedure refers to the rules for governing meetings of decision-making bodies. The primary concept is the rule of the majority with respect for the minority. Organizations use parliamentary procedure to debate matters and reach group decisions with as little friction as possible. Robert's Rules of Order is the most widely used manual of parliamentary procedure used in the United States. It is the standard for facilitating discussions and group decision-making. Although they seem long and involved, having an agreed-upon set of rules makes meetings run easier. Robert's Rules will help your group have better meetings, not make them more difficult. They were written by a U.S. Army officer, Henry Martin Robert, and first published in 1876. The rules in his book were loosely modeled after those used in the United States House of Representatives. The author's interest in parliamentary procedure began in 1863 when he was chosen to preside over a church meeting, and although he accepted the task, he felt that he did not have the necessary knowledge to proper procedure. Some of the basic topics from Robert's Rules include how to make a motion, amending a motion, calling the question, tabling a matter, how to vote on a motion, and adjourning a meeting. Details on this information can be found in the Planning Division's Commissioner Manual, including the Robert's Rules book itself and abbreviated versions. How to make a motion. To introduce a new piece of business or propose a decision or action, a motion must be made by a group member. I move that. A second motion must then also be made. Raise your hand and say, I second it. After limited discussion, the group then votes on the motion. Amending a motion. This is the process used to change a motion under consideration. Perhaps you like the idea proposed, but not exactly as offered. Raise your hand and make the following motion. I move to amend the motion on the floor. This also requires a second. After the motion to amend is seconded, a majority vote is needed to decide whether the amendment is accepted. Then a vote is taken on the amended motion. To end a debate immediately, the question is called. Say, I call the question, and needs a second.
A vote is held immediately, no further discussion is allowed. The 2/3 vote is required for passage. If it is passed, the motion on the floor is voted on immediately. Tabling a matter. To table a discussion is to lay aside the business at hand in such a manner that will be considered later in the meeting or at another time. I make a motion to table this discussion until the next meeting. In the meantime, we will get more information so we can better discuss the issue. A second is needed and a majority vote required to table the item being discussed. How to vote on a motion. Before a vote is taken, the chair puts the question by saying, "Those in favor of the motion that," repeat the motion, say aye. Those opposed say no. Wait, then say the motion is carried or the motion is lost. A majority vote is more than half of the votes cast. A tie vote is a lost vote since it is not a majority. Adjourning a meeting. A motion is made to end the meeting. A second motion is required. A majority vote is then required for the meeting to be adjourned. Thanks for watching this video on parliamentary procedure. Please visit columbus.gov/planning for more information on this and other topics for board and commission members.